Hey guys, Darren here. Welcome to Mayhem Country Living. Just want to show you what's going on, what we're doing out here. And I was wanting to talk to you about setting up your property, whether it is a corner lot or a postage stamp or a homestead or an honest goodness farm, and what makes the difference. I have no idea. Depends on what you call it yourself. But one of the biggest things that I have not done well on previous properties is setting up infrastructure to accommodate, well, for example, goats or chickens and stuff like that. I was looking at one of my older videos, several years old, when we first got the goats in. Yeah, we had goats for a while, and at the other property. And setting it up, putting everything in place, the infrastructure, fencing, housing, if not housing, then shelter from the wind, storage for feed and accessories, and protection, that kind of stuff. Water systems, that is critical, whether it is a garden or whether it is cows. That, I think, is where a lot of people fall short. Where I have fallen short. Because you get so excited about setting up everything, and you want this, and you've got the room for 10 chickens, so you order 40. Yeah, did that. And it becomes a chore. It becomes a problem. So, one of the big things, look at a calendar when you want to do X, your project. Look at it and look at your finances in relation to this. Are you going to need this? Do you have a budget for your project? Is it going to go over budget? How long do you have set aside for it? This is all stuff that you apply. This is no different than setting up a business proposal for a company, or it should be the same. You don't just go out in your front yard, throw a bunch of seeds, and go harvest corn. That just doesn't happen. So you plan, you set aside, you ask more experienced people. I do that all the time, who I rely on. I always say, if I'm the smartest person in the room, I'm in the wrong room, because I rely a great deal on people who have done this for 50 years as to me, who's done it for 8 years. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. The tips and the tricks and the how-tos and how not to's, when to do it, when not to do it, that kind of stuff. For example, I should have put better irrigation system out in the orchard instead of just running hose pipes, which works. I should have just trenched it out, run PVC, put a bib faucet down there, and put a cutoff somewhere in between for when it freezes, because it always freezes. Something I should have done. Something else that I noticed when we first bought this property here, it had 3 hose bibs. Now, I call them hose bibs. Depending on where you are, you might call them faucets. A myriad of different names. But a faucet, a hose bib, a spigot, they're all the same. I noticed that we had 3 on the property, but we only had 1 that was in use. And that was interesting to me. So I looked and looked and looked, and I started tracing and everything, and this house has copper in it. It's all copper. It's an older house. And so I started tracing, and I found where everything went, and it was just neglect. That when something started leaking, they would cut it off and cap it. Don't know why. So out of 3 faucets, we had 1 that worked. Very strange, very strange. This house was built specifically for prepping. In some instances, it was like, come on guys, $10 faucet, you know, and you would have had it fixed. And again, for example, I don't use screw lever on-off faucets. I use boiler faucets because they have a ball bearing in them that is a hole drilled through the middle, and it's full on or it's off. You turn it one way or the other. Back at the old property, there was a lot of underground mining, and whenever they would do blasting, it would shake a lot of sediment in the water line, and you would get sediment coming out of your pipes. That's not terrible because you have a Berkey and stuff like that, or we do. But whenever you would water outside your fine, your screw valves, you would crush them, and you would crush the dirt, and then it would start to leak. So to eliminate that, I went from the screw valves to boiler fittings, and they cost about 4 times as much. But instead of having to replace 5 or 6 a year, which was what I was doing, I haven't had to replace any. So it's just little bitty stuff like that that makes homesteading go a little bit better. If you have all the infrastructure, if you're running a line and you're going to do irrigation and it's 75 feet, put in another line right beside it, cap it off, same diameter, and cover it up. Because that way, when that one that you're working off of splits, and it always splits, you find your ends, terminate them out, connect, and you're good to go. So we're going to wrap this up. It ran kind of long. I just wanted to give you guys some stuff to think about. Everything that's going on, now's the time to get all your little projects finished. Take care of your people.